Welcome, everybody, to another show of My Child, My Voice, Kid Connection. My name is Miss Wendy, and I am so happy that you're joining us today. This week is a special week. I am so excited because this is where our family comes together and we have a big dinner. And this is a reason why on Kid Connection Show, which is brought to you by the National Parents Union, we are going to talk about one of my favorite books, as you can see on the screen, A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. And I know most of you see it on TV probably this week because Thanksgiving is this week. So our book of the day is A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving by Charles M. Schulz. And we have our craft for the day, which I'm excited to talk about, is a turkey corner bookmarker. So the book that you read, you can put your bookmarker, but I'm going to tell you what else you can use this bookmarker for. So like I said, I am excited to talk about, to do story time about A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. And I'm going to hide myself so that we can begin story time and then we can start our craft a little bit later. So I'm going to hide my little camera here. You'll still be able to hear me so that I can go ahead and read story time to you. As I mentioned, this is Peanuts, A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving by Charles M. Schulz. And we see here, based on the animated special, the text was adopted by, and it shows all the information. Look at Snoopy and Woodstock. They look so cute. I'm sorry. This is one of my favorite books, and I've been reading this book to even my own kids. It's Thanksgiving, and Charlie Brown's friend, Lucy, can't wait to celebrate. Charlie Brown, I'll hold this football and you kick it, Lucy says. You can't fool me, says Charlie Brown. I'll come running up and you'll pull the football away like you always do. But one of the best traditions is the Thanksgiving football game, says Lucy. And the most important part is a kickoff. Charlie Brown thinks Lucy will let him kick the football if it's a holiday tradition. He runs towards the ball, but she pulls it away again. Ugh! Whomp. Later, Charlie Brown is talking with his sister Sally and his friend Linus. Why should I give thanks on Thanksgiving, says Sally. I haven't even finished eating my Halloween candy yet. Besides, all Thanksgiving does is make more work for us in school. Linus disagrees. Thanksgiving is a very important holiday, he explains. Ours was the first country in the world to make a national holiday to give thanks. Sally sighs and stares lovingly at Linus. Isn't he the cutest thing? Linus just rolls his eyes. What are you going to do on Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown? Sally and I are going over to our grandmother's house for dinner, Charlie Brown says. As soon as they get back home, Charlie Brown gets a call from Peppermint Patty. My dad said I could join you for Thanksgiving, she says. I don't mind inviting myself over since I know you kind of like me, Chuck. Charlie Brown tries to explain that he is going to his grandmother's house for dinner, but Peppermint Patty keeps talking over him. By the way, I told Marcy and Franklin about the big turkey dinner you'll be having, so you can count on 3 for dinner. Peppermint Patty has invited herself, Marcy and Franklin, over to Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm not even going to be home. Charlie Brown groans to Linus. Linus has an idea. You can have 2 dinners. Cook the first one with your friends and then go to your grandmother's house with your family for the second one. But there's one flaw to Linus' plan. Charlie Brown doesn't know how to cook. All I can make is cold cereal and toast, Charlie Brown admits. Linus isn't discouraged. Maybe we could help, he says. Snoopy, go out to the garage and get a table for the backyard. Snoopy salutes Linus and gets to work. Snoopy and Woodstock find an old ping pong table and they bring it outside. Then Snoopy sets up chairs around the table, lawn chairs, beach chairs, rocking chairs, enough for everyone. To top it off, they had a pretty tablecloth, set the table, and even folded the napkins for each of the place setting. Now that the table is ready, Snoopy, Woodstock, Charlie Brown, and Linus start to make Thanksgiving dinner. Linus and Charlie Brown set up toasters and put in slices of bread. Once the bread is toasted, Snoopy butters all the pieces and stacks them on a serving platter. While Linus and Charlie Brown get popcorn, jelly beans, and pretzels, Snoopy and Woodstock disappear for a minute, and they return dressed up like pilgrims. Charlie Brown isn't impressed. How can you serve the food in that ridiculous outfit? He scolds Snoopy. The guests will be here soon. Snoopy sighs and reaches for his chef hat. Soon, Peppermint Patty, Marcy, and Franklin arrive and follow Charlie Brown out to the big table in the backyard. It's time for dinner. Snoopy's about to serve the guests when Peppermint Patty cuts in. Shouldn't we say grace first? She asks. Linus stands up. In the year 1621, the Pilgrims had their first Thanksgiving feast, he begins. Elder William Brewster, who was a minister, said a prayer that went something like this. We thank God for our home and food and our safety in a new land. We thank God for the opportunity to create a new world for freedom and justice. Amen, Peppermint Patty says. Snoopy lifts the lid off a big platter and reveals the feast, freshly popped popcorn, colorful jelly beans, and salted pretzel sticks, and a stack of hot buttered toast. He loads up the guest plates and sends it sailing over to them. Peppermint Patty frowns. What kind of Thanksgiving dinner is this? Where's the turkey, cranberry sauce, and pumpkin pie, Chuck? She asked Charlie Brown. Don't you know anything about Thanksgiving dinners? What blockhead made all this? She throws down her popcorn in disgust. Look at her yell. Snoopy pulls his chef hat over his face, and Charlie Brown gets up and walks away from the table. You were kind of rough on Charlie Brown, Marcy says to Peppermint Patty. Rough? Peppermint Patty shouts. We were supposed to be served a real Thanksgiving dinner. But did he invite you here, Marcy asked? Or did you invite yourself and us too? Peppermint Patty thinks for a minute. She knows Marcy is right. Marcy, maybe you could go to Chuck and patch things up for me? Marcy isn't so sure that's a good idea. I think maybe you should go to Chuck and tell him yourself, she says. I'll just ruin everything. You go and speak for me. Back in the house, Marcy finds Charlie Brown in the living room looking upset. Peppermint Patty didn't mean all those things, she said. Marcy tells him, actually, she really likes you. I'm just sorry I ruined everyone's Thanksgiving, he moans. But Marcy knows Charlie Brown is missing the point. Thanksgiving isn't just about eating, she says. We should be thankful for being together. That's what Thanksgiving is all about. Peppermint Patty sneaks up behind the two of them. Apologies accepted? She asks, offering to shake his hand with Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown smiles and shakes her hand. Just then the clock chimes. Good grief, Charlie Brown cries. It's 4 o'clock. He and Sally are supposed to be at their grandmother's house in half an hour. Charlie Brown picks up the phone and dials his grandmother's number. Charlie Brown starts to tell his grandmother that they'll be late for dinner because their friends hadn't eaten yet. But after a minute, he breaks into a huge grin. Everyone Charlie Brown, Sally, Franklin, Linus, Peppermint Patty, and Marcy is invited to Thanksgiving dinner at his grandmother's house. Peppermint Patty runs to the backyard. We're all invited to Charlie Brown's grandmother for Thanksgiving dinner, she cries. Everyone cheers. Yay! After the gang piles into the car, they settled into their seats and wave goodbye to Snoopy and Woodstock. Isn't there an old song about going to grandmother's house? Marcy asks. Peppermint Patty nods, and all the kids started singing. Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Back at Snoopy's doghouse, Snoopy and Woodstock put the finishing touches on their own Thanksgiving dinner with pumpkin pie for dessert. Thanksgiving is always special, especially when you celebrate it with friends. Isn't that sweet? And that ends our story time about Charlie Brown, a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving dinner. Now I'm going to bring myself back. Hi. And I'm going to stop sharing. Up close and personal. Now we're going to start our craft of the day, Turkey Corner bookmarker. Now, a while back on one of our episodes, we actually did something similar to this. This is what we call an origami bookmarker. So we're going to do this really fun and simple, and with tools or even things around your house if you don't have everything in your home to make this. So I'm going to move my camera down so that you can see my craft table so that we can know how to make this little thing and then how to use it for something else besides a bookmarker. I'll give you a hint. It had something to do with Snoopy putting something on the table. So let's move my camera down and let's get going. All right. So as you see this fun little origami, I'm going to put this to the side. And the supplies you're going to need are going to be different things that you may have at home. I have a glue stick, but if you don't have a glue stick, you can use any glue that you have at home. And even if you have tape, that will work too. I would suggest having markers or crayons, whatever you have at home. Even matte pencils, like I said, markers, crayons, matte pencils, whatever you have. And then you're gonna need scissors, a ruler, a pencil, and some colored sheets. Now, this is cardstock that I'm using right now, but if you have construction paper or even if you have white paper, you can actually take your white paper and color it these colors that I have here. I'm using orange, yellow, and brown, but I'm also going to be using a light brown for this particular project. And I'm going to kind of unfold my origami so you can kind of see how we did this. Give me one sec. Okay. Here's my unfolded one. Here's the light brown that I'm using. As I mentioned, I am using cardstock, but if you don't have cardstock, you have construction paper, or even if you have white paper, you can color each of these colors. And your turkey doesn't have to be exactly like mine. You can color your turkey whatever color you want. I used a light brown, and then I used for his feathers different ones here, okay? Now I'm going to put that to the side and put my paper to the side. Let's get all these tools to the side so that we can start our craft. Okay, as you can see, I have my folded paper. Now, you want a square for your paper. And normally to get started on creating this, you want this particular origami to be a square, which is 7 by 7. And that's why you see here my grid. And this is actually a ruler that I have on here. So I can put it on the corner and I show like a 7 by 7. And you can use your ruler to do that, to measure your paper. And I'll explain why you want to do it this size, because in order to do this bookmarker, you want it smaller than a regular size paper. So this is where your ruler comes in, and also your pencil. Mark off where it ends in 7. You're going to go length times height, and then just, trace it. This is what I did. And then I used my scissors to cut it to a smaller piece of paper. So that is, again, a 7 by 7. Now let's get started. What do we need to do to get started on our bookmarker? As you can see, I have all these creases on here. Now you're going to make your turkey face elements by using the lid, by using this paper. I'm sorry, I said lid. Now you want to move your paper like a diamond shape. We're going to learn about some shapes here. First, we went to a square. Now we're going to turn it to look like a diamond. See how mine looks like a diamond. Then what we're going to do is take the bottom piece of your paper and make a triangle. So fold it towards the top. You can fold it towards the bottom as too, but I like folding it at the top. It's actually easier when we do this origami. So you're going to fold it. And remember, I'm using stock paper. So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I have to crease to make my crease stay. You can do this the same if you're using cardstock or regular paper, however you're using. So now you have your triangle. Now you're going to fold the right side of the corner of the triangle and fold it up to another little triangle. See how it's making another triangle here? That's what you want. Once you do your fold with your finger, go over it with a pencil or a pen, whatever you have at home, and kind of go over the crease. And the reason why we do this is to make sure that it stays in place. Now you're going to do the left side and do the same thing. Bring it up and fold it towards the top. And you're going to make sure your creases are down so that it's all the way through. Now you see it's a diamond shape, but a lot smaller. Okay, now we're going to unfold the two little triangles. The next thing you're going to do is, you know how we folded it in half, right? So now you're going to just take one piece. See how I have this here? You're going to fold it and make another triangle going towards you. See how the peak is at the bottom? And you're going to fold it. And I'm going to use my pencil to make sure my creases stay in place. Okay? Then you're going to take the right side again, and you're going to see how it's still kind of shaped like a triangle. You're going to fold it. And first, this is what I do. Make sure that crease is really good. I use my finger, or you can use your pencil. And you're going to tuck it inside. So you're going to tuck it this way. It's hard. Mine's a little harder because I'm cardstock, but yours should be a little bit easier. And then fold it. Use your pencil to make sure the crease stays in place. You're going to do the same thing. Repeat on the left side. Take it in and tuck it inside the crease. And then, like I mentioned, you can take a pencil, go over your creases to make sure that this will stay in place. And like I said, I'm using cardstock, so this one looks a little bit harder. As you see, I'm trying to press really hard. And there you have your corner. So what is next? Okay, this is where we're going to get a little creative. It depends on what you have at home, okay? Now, remember I told you about the different colors of paper. Now, because I used a light brown, I'm using a dark brown, I'm using yellow, and I'm using orange because it reminds me of the fall. And you're thinking, okay, what do I do? Now, I cut this earlier, and I have my scraps here. I have my yellow here, and I have my orange and brown. Whatever you do, do not throw away your scraps. I just wanted to show you that. Do not ever throw away your scraps because you need that in a few minutes. Okay. Now, to make, and I'm going to leave my little origami here so that you can kind of see what we're going to make. This is the opening piece. This is going to be the front part of the face of the turkey. Okay. And how are we going to do that? How are we going to make the feathers? Well, guess what? There's all kinds of ways you can make your feathers. It depends on what you want to do. Now, you can take your yellow piece of paper, and I'm going to put this aside. You can do your hands and then trace your hand, you know, with your pencil, and your fingers can be the feather. Now, because I'm using different colors, you can trace 2 fingers, like I did, 2 orange, 2 brown, and 1 yellow. Whatever the way you want your colors to be for the feathers, you can pick that. Your feathers can be blue, white, and red, or whatever color you would like. So one way to do it is you can use your fingers. You can use 2 yellows, trace it, and then you're going to cut it. Or you know what I like to do? I like to use things, shapes around me that I could use to make something else. I use the bottom of the glue bottle, and then I traced it to make my feather. And it makes it like this. You can do it that way, but I tend to do it a little bit wider, but that kind of gives you an idea. So if you have glue, you can use the bottom of the bottle and trace and do your feathers. And you're going to do this for all your colors. You're going to do it for the brown, for the orange, or the yellow, or whatever colors you want your turkey feathers to be. Like I said, I use 2 brown, 2 orange, and 1 yellow. And then what you're going to do once you did your shapes, what you're going to do is get your scissors and you're going to cut your shapes out. Like I said, you're going to need 2 orange, 2 brown, and 1 yellow. Yes, I'm repeating myself. Now, remember I was telling you once you start cutting everything to keep your scraps? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like once I did this. So here are my cutouts. I did 2 orange, 2 brown, and 1 yellow. And if you see like parts of it, don't worry. Feathers are never a particular shape. But if you see also like, see you have the marker or the pencil mark, I just erase them if you're worried about that part. And voila, that's why we need our thing. So what you want to do, and I'm going to have the bottom piece face you. I'm going to take my orange and then I'm going to use, now remember, if you have glue, you can use glue or you can use a glue stick. And even if you don't have any of these 2, you can use tape. Whatever you have at home. I love using glue sticks, so that's what I'm using. So what I'm doing is taking the bottom piece of my feather and I'm putting the glue on there. Oops. And I'm going to glue it all the way to the edge of this corner. See how I have it? And I'm going to press and making sure, see how the back looks? Remember, you want to glue it to the side that has no pocket. This pocket, because this is the face. So you're going to do your orange, and then the next one we're going to do, or I'm doing, is brown. So I'm putting just, you don't have to put the glue all over, just towards the bottom of your cutout. And then you're going to keep going all the way around. And then I'm going to get my yellow because I want the yellow in the middle. Same thing, put the glue towards the bottom of my cutout. And glue it at the back of my bookmarker. And I keep going. I'm going to use brown. Put my glue. I just like the glue sticks because sometimes it's a lot easier. But sometimes it may not work. So that's why I said whatever you have at home is easy. Tape, regular glue, or glue sticks. Make sure you press hard so that it stays. And then my last one for my feather. Now, if you want, before you glue this, if you want to draw the lines of the feathers, you can do that too. This is your project, your imagination. So use it, figure out how any way you want it. If that's what you want to do, if you want to draw the feather lines to make it more to look real, you can do that too. So we're done with the glue. I'm going to put this aside. And remember I was telling you about the scraps. Okay. What I did on mine is, now you can use your markers and color in however you want. Remember, I was telling you you're going to be using your imagination. If you want to use your own markers instead of cutting out stuff out of paper and gluing them to your book marker, you can do that too. You can do another small little triangle for the beak like you show here. And then you can do black eyes here. And then you can actually use gray to show a little bit of the eyeballs on top of the black marker once this dries. And then I use pink to show little cheeks, and then red for this part of the turkey. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can color in the face, or you can use cutouts. If you want to use cutouts, what I like doing is I got the yellow, and see how it's the pointy edge here. What I did is I used my ruler, and I wanted to cut it, and I made another, see how it looks like a little triangle? And I want it to be, you can make it big, small, and I put a line here to make it to where I can cut. Now this might be a little bit smaller than the one I did earlier, but that's okay. However you want to do your piece, we can do. And if it looks too big or small, cut it, trim it however you want. And if you need help from an adult, make sure to ask for help. They're happy to there. Now I need my glue, and I'm going to take my glue here. I got to make sure it's all over the paper so it can stick. I'm getting more on my finger than I am the paper. And then I'm going to put it towards the crease of the bottom here. Now remember, keep it on the top piece of here. And then I'm going to glue it. And you might have to press it for a while to make it stay. I got some glue on my fingers. Put this aside. Okay. So the next thing we can do is, now you can draw in your eyes, but I have googly eyes. I love googly eyes. All I got to do is take it off because it has an adhesive. In other words, it's sticky on the back when I say adhesive. And what I like doing is putting googly eyes because they move. See how they move? Ah! I like to use this. I put my eyes first. Try not to press too hard because then because it has a little plastic. I always got to be careful when I take these off. And one time I took the adhesive off, the gluey part off, and I put my eyes on there. I was telling you we had to press that little beak down. And see, those are the googly eyes. Now, what I did is I used my pink marker and I did some cheeks, and I just did them in a circle. How big, small, however you want to make it. I'm making it just, little size. And then the last part, see how this one has a little piece that's part of a turkey? I'm going to add that. I'm going to make it look like a teardrop. That's how doesn't have to be a certain shape. Put it around there. And there you have your turkey corner book marker. And we're done. As I say, you probably have to press this piece so it could stay because I know it's popping up. I'm going to bring my camera back. Hi, everybody. Remember I was telling you there's two things you can use this book marker. Remember in the book, Snoopy was putting place markers on the table. What does that mean, and what are place markers? Why do you need them? A lot of times in the table, you want people to sit in certain places of your table with your family members. So what you could do with these, you can put another piece of paper. I would say maybe a white little piece of paper, cut it into a triangle. Have your family members' names. As they walk in the door, tell them to write their names on the piece of paper in the triangle and stick it underneath. Or you can do it if you want your mom to sit next to you, or your dad, or your grandma, your abuelita, your tia, your prima, your cousins, whoever's coming over for Thanksgiving dinner. Have them, put these place markers. I think they would be so excited to get a turkey corner bookmarker, but also this is a place marker. So you stick the name underneath here, and then you're able to, or you can even write the name if you want. If you want to write their names on here, you could do that too. Or I could say stick a piece of another paper right here with their name under here so that they can see this is where I'm sitting at the table. So I hope you enjoy our beautiful craft, as in our turkey corner bookmarker. This was so fun, a cute little origami project. And as well as enjoyed our story time, the book of the day, A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving by Charles M. Schulz. I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving this week. I know it's later on this week. I hope everybody has a safe and healthy Thanksgiving with your family or friends or whoever you're gathering. Remember, Charlie Brown says the important piece is we're gathering together. And it doesn't matter what you have for Thanksgiving. It's the piece of gathering together. So thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully we will see you. I hope everybody will join us next week on another Kid Connection show where we bring story time to your home and a craft, a show for kids by a parent. And I hope everybody enjoys that. I can't wait to the next one. The next book that we're going to talk about next week, because I know everybody loves, and I know in my family, we love watching the Thanksgiving Day parade, is learning how they came up with that idea of the puppets. So we are going to read a book about the person that started that at a Thanksgiving parade. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time off. I know a lot of schools will be closed for the holidays. Enjoy it. Have fun with your family and make some crafts. I hope you enjoy and make this craft at home as well. Have a great day, everybody. See you next Monday. Catch us on the next story time. My name is Miss Wendy with My Child, My Voice Kid Connection, powered by the National Parents Union. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.